Alright, I wanted to do a quick video on sharpening this rip saw I have. I picked this up at a hardware, or I should say a antique store for $8, and that price was with the tax included. It's a rip saw from Superior. Didn't know how old it is. I didn't really get that deep into researching it, but I can tell you that to me it looks like it's never been sharpened. And the reason I say that is because the teeth still have their full, I don't know what you call it, depth maybe, but they don't look like they've ever been jointed. The set is still good, so the saw was never reset, and when I got it, it was covered in rust, but it looked like it almost had never been used, or at least not much. On another note, this is pretty funny to me. I did a video yesterday on sharpening a chisel, how I sharpen a chisel, and I showed it to somebody. I'm not going to name names, and they told me I looked fat in the video. I'm probably the least vain person on earth, but I'm definitely not fat. When I woodwork, I usually wear whatever, any old t-shirt, shorts, whatever I can find. Most of that stuff doesn't fit right. It's just old, it's stretched out, it's been worn to death, and it's not very flattering, I should say. But so tonight I'm wearing a shirt that's kind of old, I guess, but at least it fits me a little better. So here's to the person who called me fat. I'm not fat, not even a little. Okay, firstly, generally we would joint the saw using a mill file like this one. This saw really doesn't need to be jointed, but I would do it like this. Now there's blocks you can buy, but you don't really need one if you're pretty steady. You can start from the, I'm actually doing this correctly and starting it from the back to the front, but here we go. And you would do that until you can see shiny little points on all the teeth. And I can now. But like I said, this saw probably didn't need that. But when you're doing a rip saw, you can join each tooth straight across. Now you can progressively pitch this. I'm not going to do that. I don't really feel the need to do that, but I'm not going to talk much while we're doing this. But I can see the little shavings come off. And I did, before I took the saw apart, I did do a test cut with it, and it didn't cut very well. So we'll see how this goes after I'm done sharpening it. Doesn't take very long. Some of these teeth could be reset after that, and I'm looking at them, but once again, I'm not going to overly bother with that. It's actually hot here tonight. The sun finally came out. You can see I'm using my leg vise and two blocks of wood. Another nice thing about leg vise, it works like a saw vise pretty well. No vibration here. Already I'm halfway done. I don't like sitting down to work. So it does put you right up against the work, which is nice. this is where it gets a little tricky when you come to the actual chop of the vise. I tried to leave enough room for the file and the handle to go over it, and thankfully I did. Moving along pretty good now. I'm a little worried about how this is going to turn out. Like I said, I think this is the first time this saw's ever been sharpened. So it might need a little bit more than I'm giving it. I have my garage door open on it, so you may hear a car or two go by. Now it looks sharper. Almost there. And that's the last tooth. So I think the saw, well, like I said, it looks sharper at least. Doesn't mean a whole lot. I took the saw nuts off of this and misplaced one of them. Only naturally. I have to find the saw nuts, the missing saw nuts after I do this test cut. To get the saw plate clean, I soaked it in hot water and some citric acid, and I wiped it down. It's hardly perfect. Sorry, looking for the scrap board. I'm going to have to do something else I don't really want to do on camera, but one of the detriments of having a light vise is you have to change out the pin when you're using thicker and thinner boards. So we'll see what happens here. See if this rips at all. The last time I tried to use it, it didn't do anything. This board is soaked actually. Maybe I should use another one. It was laying on the floor and water got on it. Now what I'm going to have to switch boards. This board is just too wet. I'll use my old standby board here. Trying to get it started. split the board, but you can see it. Much sharper than it was, at least. Like I said, I probably can do. Let me try the other side. But it went right down that board, no problem. This probably still split it very easily. Board split again, but you can see much sharper than it was before. I said it didn't even go into any of the boards at all, but I probably should go back and refile this. A couple more passes on each tooth wouldn't hurt, but it's definitely much sharper than it was. So once again, I'm a rank amateur at this, and I could easily take this old saw and make it work again with just about 15 or 20 minutes worth of work.